There was a lot happening at this year's Cattle Industry Summer Business Meeting, including the announcement of the 2021 national winner of the Environmental Stewardship Award program. Here's Cattleman to Cattleman reporter Russell Nimitz with more.
Thank you, Kate, and congratulations to Utah's JY Ferry Son, the National Environmental Stewardship Award winner. And they join us on Cattleman to Cattleman today. And John, let's start with you. Talk about what type of emotions are running through you and your family here on the national stage, just being named this year's National ESAP winner.
This is a culmination of a lot of wonderful things, because I'm thinking of my father, my grandfather, my great-grandfather who came here, and the hard work and the vision that they gave us. There's a saying that if I have seen further, it's because I stand on the shoulder of giants. And so it's their day for them to, and we're just their boys carrying on the tradition. All we know is what we've been taught. So it's a special day for the family.
Absolutely. Let's turn to Ben now and talk a little bit about the operation there in Utah. You're going to talk about the farming side, then we're going to come back to John and talk about the cattle side. But talk about some of the conservation and stewardship practices on the farming side that you folks are implementing there in Utah.
I think to be able to understand and appreciate what we do, we're very diversified. We have the ranch, we have a feed yard, and we have a farm. And the farm supports the feed yard and the ranch at the same time. In order to be able to work with the resources we have, you have to be able to understand what the land will produce and to be responsible on how you do it. But water is critical in everything we do. We've laid almost 88,000 feet of pipe trying to preserve the water and to get it to where it's supposed to be, when it's supposed to be there, and laser leveling. We do strip tilling, we do no-till, we do everything possible to minimize costs but preserve the land.
That's an incredible feat in itself. Now let's talk about the livestock side of your operation.
We're unique in that we graze in the dry land where water is short supply, and so rotational grazing and also timely grazing on the season is so critical. And then we're out in the wetlands, we're in the swamps and the bogs. And so we look at what is available there, and we say, as we listen to the land, this is what we can do, and this is what we can't do. And so we find the resources, the business model to put upon the land, because the land is our greatest resource, and we need to take care of it. For if we do so, the land will take care of us.
Well said. Let's wrap things up. A lot of folks watching sometimes think that they could never apply for an award like this. They could never become a regional winner like yourself and then go on to win the national award. What advice do you have for other cattlemen and cattlewomen across America when it comes to implementing and applying for the Environmental Stewardship Award and being recognized for the very things that they're doing every single day?
I think every family has a story to tell, and every family is unique. What you've done to preserve your land and the story you have to tell is the basis of your application. This is an award to recognize the stewardship of everybody here, everybody who works the land. So everybody can apply. Just tell your story. Our story started out in 1901. And so it's a story we're proud of, but everyone and anyone can apply. Just tell your story of your love of the land, and it will come out in such a way that you'll be proud of yourself, and they will be proud to associate with you and compare their operation with your operation and see that there's not much difference.
Well, again, congratulations to you and your families there in Utah. Again, the National Environmental Stewardship Award winner from Utah. Let's learn more about the JY Ferry Son operation in Utah.
JY Ferry Son is a family-owned ranch located on the Bear River Delta in Utah. The Ferries have been living and working on this land for more than a century.
My great-grandfather immigrated here right after the railroad at the turn of the century. We're a family operation. I'm fourth generation. I operate on our ranch with my brother, and I have a son who's coming along on the fifth generation.
We are standing on the shoulders of our ancestors that came out here over 120 years ago. We take it serious, the responsibility we have for the legacy of their past and for the future of this operation.
Water has been a critical factor in the long-term success of JY Ferry Son. The ferries consider the Bear River the heart of their operation, since it provides irrigation water for crops and stock water for cattle.
Where we're located is the very end of the Bear River, where it deltas out, right where it enters into the Great Salt Lake. And so we have this water resource that's really unique. It creates this oasis in the desert.
And so we have to be mindful of that and make sure that we are practicing conservation 365 days out of the year, 24/7, because we capture the water, make use of it before it goes into the Great Salt Lake.
Over the years, the Ferry family has removed invasive species along the Bear River and fenced their cattle away from sensitive riparian areas. They also relocated a feed yard that used to be next to the river.
It turned out to be a really good opportunity for us to kind of get a new, updated feed yard, as well as moving an operation that could potentially have some conflict with the environment into an area that was more stable.
We tore it down. We tore out the cement and relocated that to a more conducive place as far as the feedlot operation is concerned, and also the environment. And right now, where it used to be cattle, it's now pumpkins, or a pumpkin patch.
A majority of the range used by the Ferry family for grazing is considered wetlands. Historically, grazing wetlands has been viewed in a negative light. But through years of careful hard work, the Ferries have demonstrated benefits to the practice. The biggest was when they discovered one of Utah's most noxious and invasive weeds is actually quite palatable to cattle.
Our cow herd is wetland based, and the vegetation that's in the wetland is varied, but the one that's a challenge is a species called Phragmites. Phragmites is an invasive weed, and the reason it's invasive because you cannot naturally control it. Historically, Phragmites has been controlled by herbicide, by spraying it to kill it. But we've discovered in our own operation that we can control Phragmites by grazing it.
For when you spray it, you kill everything. When you burn it, you kill everything. When you drought it, you kill everything. And we have been places where they haven't had cattle ever, and it is just a thick jungle mess of Phragmites. You can't walk through it. There's no habitat whatsoever for anything, for any birds, or any ducks, or geese, or anything. And that's where we come in, because you have cattle that are trained, recognize what the plant is. They will graze on it, select it out, and all of a sudden you are turning a disaster into a grazing opportunity.
It pushes the birds out and the wildlife species that would traditionally use these wetland areas. And so by grazing it, what you do is you're pushing back, you're preventing it from spreading. And what we've been able to show is that done the right way, proper management of cattle in these wetland areas actually improves the wetlands. And so the cattle are a very important tool that we use.
Federal and state agencies have also caught on to the benefits of grazing wetlands. And for the past several years, the Ferries have run some of their cattle on public lands.
We graze on U.S. wetlands managed by the Department of Fish and Wildlife Service, and we're able to control and maintain and hold back the spreading of the Phragmites. And the end result is you have a multiple use benefit for cattle, and you have much greater ducks and geese and shorebirds because they have an open supply of nesting areas and so forth.
We're benefiting other producers as well by showing how we can turn something that's a problem for the state or problem for government agencies and benefit our industry. And really, I think that's a huge success story. There are literally thousands of cattle now in the valley grazing on Phragmites every summer on these different areas.
Without the cows, we couldn't accomplish our Phragmites control objectives. So it's a super important tool that we have in the toolbox. And without grazing, without the Ferry family, I think we would not be doing as well.
The sustainable practices the Ferries are using today are helping to ensure that future generations will be able to work this land and protect its natural beauty.
Sustainability to me means managing the resource in such a way that it's here for generations. My kids and my grandkids can continue to farm and ranch and enjoy this beautiful area the way I do.
As we think about the improvements that we've made, I don't think that previous generations would even recognize it. And I think that our efforts would be looked on with great pleasure.
Every day I'm out on this place, I look at it and say, this is what my grandfather started. What am I doing with it? Because I feel there's going to be an accountability. And I need to be able to proudly say that I did the best I could, took what was here, improved upon it, and passed it on.
If you'd like to find out more about the Environmental Stewardship Award winners, see photos and videos, or even learn how to nominate someone for the award, visit the website environmentalstewardship.org.